Jai.
Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai.
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki jai.
Jai.
Ganga Mai ki jai.
Jai.
Jamuna Mai ki jai.
Jai.
Tulsi Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Bhakti Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Pramaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatatine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Before speaking, I'd like to ask permission and blessings from welcome for all the devotees, and especially those who are senior by age and by advancement in Krishna consciousness. Usually I don't chant that Narayanam Namaskritya. So why today?
Today is Sri Panchami, Saraswati Puja.
Yes, very good, very good. If you go on the GBC Vaishnav calendar, you'll see that there are many appearance and disappearance days today, including Vasant Panchami, and Saraswati Puja is today. So in that verse, we give respects to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Usually you don't find in the Srimad Bhagavatam and Vaishnav prayers to demigod, right? We don't find prayers to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. We see Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva and other giving prayers to Lord Krishna. So in this Srimad Bhagavatam, how is it that Sutta Goswami in this case is including, Narayana, offer obeisances to Narayana, the Narayan Rishis, the supermost human beings, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So why? Although usually we don't find this offerings to prayers to demigod. Any idea? Nobody. Come on. Okay.
Are we?
I don't.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, that's Bhakti Bhav. Very good.
Hare Krishna. Are we looking for her approval or guidance in learning this Srimad Bhagavatam? She is the goddess of learning. we reached out to get her approval.
Yes, yes. So we're not doing it, getting her blessings for something, let's get some knowledge so that we can make $1 million, or we can come up with an invention of, that will help us in our material life. But so we can ask for blessings and help for understanding Krishna and Krishna's service and bhakti yoga. So that's consistent with our endeavors in Krishna consciousness. Does that make sense? Very good, Bhakta Bob. And although I don't always chant that verse, some people always chant the verse. Did Sutta Goswami chant the verse every time he recited the Srimad Bhagavatam? Every day? Because it went on for many, many years. We don't have any evidence. We don't have any evidence of that. Well, there's no evidence that we have of that. Nor do we have evidence that Srila Prabhupada did every class. But anyway, we did it today for recognition of Mother Saraswati, Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of learning, asking for her help for us to understand and be able to please Krishna for our understanding of the science of Krishna consciousness in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, Acharya Prabhu, I see your hand came up.
Hare Krishna, this is just a detail. I don't think that verse is in the Bhagavatam, but I think it is. But I think Sutta Goswami does recite it in Mahabharata.
When you say you don't think it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I mean, it's in the 2nd chapter, 1st canto. What do you mean?
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
my mistake then.
Yeah,
The second canto, 1st chapter. Okay.
First canto, 2nd chapter.
Okay.
Fourth verse.
Okay, my mistake then.
That's okay.
It's also at the beginning of Mahabharata. My mistake.
Yeah. So
ignore
then,
what I just said.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, today is that there are actually many appearance and disappearance days today. Not only Saraswati Puja, Vasant. How did you? Some of you probably in your, or maybe even today, have some worship of Goddess Saraswati, and how would you do that?
In school, we had a holiday on this day, and we have a huge murti of Goddess Saraswati in the center as we enter the school, and that's where we offered prayers and puja with flowers, fruits, and a specific prayer for Goddess Saraswati.
Yes. Especially in Bengal, they like big murtis.
Yeah.
And so especially because it's at school, because it's the place of Vidyalaya.
Yeah, it is a permanent fixture there.
Okay. Yeah. So sometimes they offer flowers and fruits that she especially likes.
Yeah, yellow marigolds.
There you go. Yellow. I also read white, but white and yeah, and like that. So for her, she's working under the direction of Lord Krishna, and so she's not going to give you knowledge without Krishna's permission or ability to learn. But since it's consistent with Krishna consciousness, certainly she'll be partial to those who are trying to get that knowledge for Krishna consciousness. Do you know any pastimes of Lord Chaitanya where Mother Goddess Saraswati was involved?
Yes, the Brahman, Kashmiri Brahman, who was defeated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then he went back to I forgot the name. But went back to back home and started crying to Saraswati Devi that I prayed you so much, and why did it happen? then Mother Saraswati said that you are defeated by my guru. He is my guru. So I cannot help you to control
she
that.
said-
I couldn't.
Yeah, she not only said she couldn't help him, but she said, you go take shelter and surrender to him.
Yeah.
Goddess Satiswati said, yeah. That was Keshav Kashmiri, who
Keshav
was
Kashmiri, yes.
yeah, very good, very good. A big pundit. His name was Digvijay. Digvijay means he was able to conquer or defeat in debate pundits from all over India, greater India. So he came to Navadvip, and Navadvip at that time especially was a center of learning of Nyaya, logic, and so the pundits there were a little afraid. So they thought, well, if we put forward Nimai Pandit, who at that time was maybe 16 years old, and if he gets defeated, well, let's say, oh, he was just a boy. But if he wins, then they say, oh, even a boy of Navadvip can defeat this Keshav Kashmiri. So they were thinking like that. Lord Chaitanya met him on the banks of the Ganges in the evening, and they had some discussion. And he asked Keshav Kashmiri to compose a poem in glorification of Mother Ganges, which on the spot, Keshav Kashmiri did 100 verses right there in the glorification of Mother Ganges. So that's pretty amazing. Sara can mean a body of water. It also can mean speech. Saraswati, who's the goddess of beautiful speech. So he had this ability from Mother Saraswati to speak and come up with beautiful verses. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he noticed that there was 4 mistakes and 4 embellishments there, and he asked about it, and Keshav Kashmiri said, so what do you mean mistakes? What do you mean? No, there's no mistakes. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out them specifically, and Keshav Kashmiri was shocked. How is this possible? So as Mother Nilambari nicely said, that he was completely despondent because this young boy had defeated him. But then Goddess Saraswati in a dream told him, no, this is my Lord. You can't, this is my Lord. So you go and surrender to him. So he accepted Lord Chaitanya, especially with the prodding of Goddess Saraswati. So hopefully we can get that prodding also, not only from Goddess Saraswati, but from Srila Prabhupada and etc. So that's one, Saraswati Puja today, Vasant Panchami. Then there's the appearance of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Some of these devotees we discussed already in going through Caitanya Caritamrita. Does anybody remember Pundarik Vidyanidhi? He was one of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was, anybody? Go ahead.
Satyabhama. Isn't it Satyabhama? Pundarik Vidyanidhi.
Oh, I don't remember that, maybe.
And
Anyway, he was the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit. And there are a few notable activities of Pundarik Vidyanidhi mentioned in Caitanya Caritamrita. One was he went to Puri, Jagannath Puri, and had darshan of Lord Jagannath at Odana Shashti. I don't know if you remember this. So he saw the pujaris, because on Odana Shashti is the beginning of winter, and he saw the pujaris putting chadars on the Jagannath deities that hadn't been washed; they were still starched. And in his mind, he thought, "Oh, this is these are people are making. They're not due. This is offensive. This is bad." So then, in his dream that night, he was visited by Lord Jagannath and Lord Baladev we don't see that Subhadra Maharani was there, but they came and they slapped him for criticizing the servants of Lord Jagannath. And in the morning, his cheeks were still reddish.
Oh.
And but Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he was very happy, because being punished by the Lord is as good as being given blessings, but that is like a blessing also. So we can learn from that be very, very careful when even in the mind to criticize the servants of Lord Krishna are very not pleasing to Krishna. Then today is also the appearance day of Srimati Vishnupriya. You know who Mother Vishnupriya is?
Mahaprabhu's second.
Yes,
Second.
yes. Mother, Lord Chaitanya, his first wife was Lakshmi Priya. He married around 15. And but when he went to East Bengal early, just shortly, not long after marriage, he went to East Bengal. And it's interesting that in East Bengal, which is now Bangladesh, he preached the Hare Krishna movement. And he met in East Bengal Tapan Mishra. Tapan Mishra was confused about his purpose of life, so he came in contact with Lord Chaitanya, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached to him Krishna consciousness. Even though in Navadvip, he was mostly teaching Nyaya philosophy, because that was prior to his meeting Ishwar Puri, his spiritual master. Still, he, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he taught Tapan Mishra about the glories of chanting the holy names and the science of bhakti. So Tapan Mishra then said, oh, let me come, I want to come back and live with you in Navadvip. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you go to, I want you to go to Benares. So he followed the order of the Lord and went to Benares. So at that time, when he went to, there were some other things that Lord Chaitanya did, we'll talk about later, not today, but when he went to East Bengal. But at that time, that's when his first wife, Lakshmi Devi, Lakshmi Priya, was, she died of either, sometimes it said by a snake bite, and sometimes the snake bite of separation. It said both ways. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says by snake bite. Srila Prabhupada said either one. So then, specifically because the Mother Sachi requested him to marry again, he married Srimati Vishnupriya Devi, who was the daughter of Gauridas Pandit's brother. So I'll read a little. There's not very much description of Vishnupriya Devi in the Caitanya Caritamrita. I found this letter about where Srila Prabhupada was telling one of his disciples whose husband had left. She says he was talking, and he uses Mother Vishnupriya Devi as an example. The vivid example of is Vishnupriya Devi, Lord Chaitanya's wife. When Lord Chaitanya left home, accepting the renounced order of life, sannyas, at that time, Vishnupriya was on the summit of youth, 16 years old. But when her husband became sannyasi, she also became greater than sannyas. She was chanting her rounds on the beads, and after one round, she was collecting 1 grain of rice. In this way, all day and night, as many rounds as she could finish, that many grains she would cook and eat. Just see how much austerity she underwent. Vishnupriya is the incarnation of the goddess of fortune. But to teach us how much austerity and penance she underwent, I think you should follow the footsteps of Srimati Vishnupriya. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi Ki Jai. So Vishnupriya Devi stayed in the house of where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was living with his mom, Mother Sachi Devi, for many years there at that place. After Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, but she never saw Lord Chaitanya, personally, physically again at that time. But she continued to do that chanting. So she was 16 when Lord Chaitanya left when he was 24. So she must have been about 11 when she married Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So she was with Lord Chaitanya for 5 years prior to his sannyas. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi Ki Jai. Any questions about Mother Goddess Saraswati or Mother Vishnupriya Devi? No. Then today is also the appearance day of one of the acharyas, well, two of the acharyas in our line, Raghunath Das Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We talked a little before about Raghunath Das Goswami. We'll read a little bit later. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, do you know where he is in our disciplic succession? We have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis, especially Rupa Raghunath Goswami. Then after Rupa Raghunath, go ahead.
After Narottam Das Thakur, he comes.
Yeah. So then after that, there's Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So actually, he wasn't the Diksha disciple of Narottam Das Thakur, but he was 4th in the line of Diksha. But because he imbibed fully Narottam Das Thakur's teachings and interest in preaching, he's counted as being the follower of Narottam Das Thakur. So there was an article written in one of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's magazines called the Gaudiya in the Bengali year 1922 about Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So I thought we could just read that. It's not very long. The story of Vishwanath Chakravarti is more or less known only among the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. They speak of the outstanding excellence of achievement demonstrated by Srila Chakravarti Thakur in his teachings of Srimad Bhagavat and Bhagavad Gita, as well as his complete understanding of the opinions expressed by the Goswamis of their books. Our Thakur is a protector, guardian, and acharya of the middle period of Gaudiya Vaishnava Dharma's historical development. So what's meant by the middle period is there's Lord Chaitanya's time, which was 1486, and to the beginning of the 16th century. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he appeared in 1638, and stayed on the planet for about 75 years. So that's the middle period. And then the modern period, according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, began with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was part of the middle period. Nowadays, and also there are prayers that we sing that were compiled and written by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We sing daily, or most days at least, and you know those prayers.
Samsaradava.
Yeah, Guru Ashtakam. Those are written by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. They're very wonderful prayers that we sing in Mangalarti day. Okay. Nowadays, among the Vaishnavas, there's the following saying in relation to Chakravarti Thakur's three most famous books. Kirana Bindu Kana, Etinya Vaishnav Parna. These three books, Ujjvala Nilamali, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, and Bhagavatamrita Karna, are taken and used by the Vaishnavas as their wealth. Because he has shown the residents of the material universe the path of bhakti. Because he has shown the residents of this universe, Vishva, he is called Vishwanath. And because he is situated amongst the chakra inner circle of the devotees, he is called Chakravarti. Previously, Srila Narottam Das Thakur had achieved fame as Rasik Raj, the king of those devotees who know how to relish the mellows of topmost devotional service. And he certainly is that. However, certain persons envious of Lord Hari, who are loyal servants of that energy, which completely surrounds the fallen souls. What's that energy? Are you following? What is that energy? Come on.
Which one, Anand?
However, certain persons are envious of Lord Hari and are loyal servants of that energy which completely surrounds the fallen souls.
Maya.
Maya.
That's right, Maya, yes. Have dared to attempt to forcibly throw such a wonderful true Rasika as Narottam into their own well of material rasa. Needless to say, they have not been successful, being able to unable to understand the purely spiritual activities in Narottam Das Thakur. Many Prakrita Sahajiyas have given him the title, the ornament of the family of cheap imitators. Therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur appeared in time to check the spread of this concocted Sahajiya mentality and truly defend the spiritual rank and work of Narottam Das Thakur Mahashai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur took birth in a family of Brahmins found in the Radhadesh area of Nadia district. So he was from Bengal, West Bengal. According to some, he also used the pen name Hari Vallabha. He had two older brothers named Rambhadra and Raghunath and stayed at Devagram, that's in Bengal, during his childhood. Upon completion of his studies in Vyakarna, he moved to Murshidabad district, where there he studied the Bhakti Shastras in the home of his guru, Radha Raman Chakravarti. This Radha Raman Chakravarti was the disciple of Krishna Charan Chakravarti, who was in turn the disciple of Sri Ganganarayan Chakravarti. And that Ganganarayan Chakravarti was one of the chief devotees of Narottam Das Thakur. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur later composed Sanskrit prayers describing the disciplic succession. And all of these stotras can be found along with many other compositions in his book called Sri Stavamatra Lahiri, the Waves of Nectarian Prayers. By the mercy of his spiritual master, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur lived in many different places within Vrajdham and composed various transcendental literatures there. Most of these books are very difficult to find nowadays. However, there are a few of them that are well known and considered to be supremely honorable by the honorable wealth of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sometimes he lived by the bank of the Radha Kund, and sometimes in Govardhan, and sometimes in Sri Yavat, and sometimes in Sri Vrindavan, within the compound of Sri Gokulanand's temple. In attempting to ascertain the time of Chakravarti Thakur, we see that he states at the end of his Krishna Bhavanamrita that this book was completed on the full moon day of the month of Palgun, 1685 AD. That was the day commemorating the auspicious appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the full moon, February-March. Additionally, in his commentary of Srimad Bhagavatam, some of you might have this Srimad Bhagavatam commentary called Sarartha, what is it? Darshini, Sarartha Darshini, which is commentary, elaborate commentary that he wrote on Srimad Bhagavatam. So he finished that at 1704 AD, 1704. You can find it on Amazon.com, either by Kindle or by written book. So his birth was approximately 1638, and his time of leaving was about 1708. So then, just before his departure, there was a threat or a challenge, actually, from some Brahmins in Jaipur. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was recognized as the topmost Vaishnav scholar among the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan. So the Pujaris at Govindaji challenged, well, you're saying you're from a disciplic succession, but all disciplic successions, they have a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So where's your commentary? If you're really the disciplic succession, where's your commentary? So the king of Jaipur invited Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur to come to Jaipur to debate those followers. Some say they were the followers of Ramanujacharya, others say that they were Ramanandis, which were people who follow Ramanuja supposedly, but also mix some things in. So anyway, that was just a short time before Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's disappearance, so he was not in good health. But he asked one of his followers, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan, to go in his stead. And at that time, Baladev Vidyabhushan prayed in front of the Sri Govindaji temple deity again and again, requesting permission to write the commentary. Or the Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya never wrote a commentary on Vedanta Sutra because they said Srimad Bhagavatam is the commentary by the same author, Vyasadeva, no need. But at this time, the challenge became such that Baladev Vidyabhushan requested Govindaji's permission, and Govinda finally gave us permission. And then Baladev Vidyabhushan said, well, you have to help me. So Lord Govinda said, okay. So that commentary is titled Govinda Bhashya, by the order of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that was written by Baladev Vidyabhushan through the auspices and help of Govinda himself. Some say it's said that Baladev Vidyabhushan was actually Gopinath Acharya, who was there when Lord Chaitanya explained Vedanta Sutra to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So, very interesting. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Okay. Then can we go to, let's see, Caitanya Caritamrita Antya Lila, 6th chapter, 188th verse. Antya Lila, 6th chapter, 188th verse. We discussed previously about Raghunath Das Goswami's efforts to join Lord Chaitanya in Puri, although his parents were against it. They tried to keep him. Yeah. So this is his actual meeting with Lord Chaitanya. And actually, let's just read the English part.
Sure.
If we can go, that.
Or to just the text?
Yes, just the text.
I have to go all the way down, is it?
Usually if you go
Prabhuji,
back,
what is the verse number, Prabhuji?
188.
One second.
Okay, well, if you can't find it, then we'll do it. We'll
I'll
just read.
be able to do it. 1 second.
Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai.
Chapter 6, you said.
Yeah.
You want to go to
188. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oops, she's sharing. That's why.
And we don't want the one by one. We don't want, anyway,
Yeah, there it is. You have to go down.
188. Yeah, we don't want the one by one. Yeah. Okay, we can go one. There we go. Okay. Shashi Shekhar, this is, can you read this? The translations here. This is Raghunath Das Goswami after he escaped from he left in the middle of the night to go to Lord Chaitanya at Puri. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Start at he reached Jagannath Puri?
Yeah,
Start
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay. He reached Jagannath Puri in 12 days, but could only eat for 3 days on the way. When Raghunath Das met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord was sitting with his companions, headed by Swarup Damodar. Staying at a distant place in the courtyard, he fell down to offer obeisances. Then Mukunda Datta said, "Here is Raghunath." As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these words, he immediately welcomed Raghunath Das. "Come here," he said. Raghunath Das then clasped the lotus feet of the Lord, but the Lord stood up and embraced him out of his causeless mercy. Raghunath Das offered prayers at the lotus feet of all the devotees, headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami. Seeing the special mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had bestowed upon Raghunath Das, they embraced him also. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "The mercy of Lord Krishna is stronger than anything else. Therefore, the Lord has delivered you from the ditch of materialistic life, which is like a hole into which people pass stool." Raghunath Das answered within his mind, "I do not know who Krishna is. I simply know that your mercy, O my Lord, has saved me from my family life." The Lord continued, "Your father and his elder brother are both related as brothers to my grandfather, Nilambara Chakravarti. Therefore, I consider them my grandfathers. Since your father and his elder brother are younger brothers of Nilambara Chakravarti, I may joke about them in this way. My dear Raghunath Das, your father and his elder brother are just like worms in stool in the ditch of material enjoyment. For the great disease of the poison of material enjoyment is what they consider happiness. Although your father and uncle are charitable to Brahmins and greatly help them, They are nevertheless not pure Vaishnavas. However, they are almost like Vaishnavas. Those who are attached to materialistic life and are blind to spiritual life must act in such a way that they are bound to repeated birth and death by the actions and reactions of their activities. By his own free will, Lord Krishna has delivered you from such a condemned materialistic life. Therefore, the glories of Lord Krishna's causeless mercy cannot be expressed.
You can read the purport there.
Okay. I'll go back up a little bit. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. In the Brahma Samhita 554, it is said, Karmani nirdhat ati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Lord Krishna is so merciful that he can stop the reactions of karma for his devotee. Everyone, from the small insect called Indragopa up to Indra, the king of heaven, is bound by the reactions of fruitive activities.
Yastvindra gopa matavindra mahosva karma bandhanurupa phala bhajana matanoti karmani nirdhati kintu ja bhakti bhajam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami.
Everyone, whether an insect or the king of heaven, is entangled and bound by the actions and reactions of his karma. However, when one becomes a pure devotee, free from material desires and from bondage to karma, jnana, and yoga, one is freed from materialistic actions and reactions by the causeless mercy of Krishna. One cannot express sufficient gratitude to Krishna for being freed from the materialistic way of life.
Yes. Now just the translation again.
Seeing Raghunath Das skinny and dirty because of having traveled for 12 days and fasted, Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, his heart melting due to causeless mercy, spoke to Svarup Damodar. My dear Svarup, he said, I entrust this Raghunath Das to you. Please accept him as your son or servant. There are now 3 Raghunaths among my associates. From this day forward, this Raghunath should be known as the Raghu of Svarup Damodar. Saying this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu grasped the hand of Raghunath Das and entrusted him to the hands of Svarup Damodar Goswami. Svarup Damodar Goswami accepted Raghunath Das, saying, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever you order is accepted. Then he embraced Raghunath Das again. I cannot properly express the affection of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu for his devotees. Being merciful toward Raghunath Das, the Lord spoke as follows to Govinda. On the way, Raghunath Das has fasted and undergone hardships for many days. Therefore, take good care of him for some days so that he may eat to his satisfaction. Then Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das, go bathe in the sea. Then see Lord Jagannath in the temple and return here to take your meal. After saying this, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu got up and went to perform his midday duties. And Raghunath met all the devotees present. Having seen the causeless mercy of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu upon Raghunath Das, All the devotees, struck with wonder, praised his good fortune. Raghunath Das took his bath in the sea and saw Lord Jagannath. Then he returned to Govinda, the personal servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Govinda offered him a plate with the remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Raghunath Das accepted the prasadam with great happiness. Raghunath Das stayed under the care of Swarup Damodar Goswami, and Govinda supplied him remnants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's food for 5 days. Beginning from the sixth day, Raghunath Das would stand at the gate known as Singhadvara to beg alms after the Pushpa Anjali ceremony, in which flowers were offered to the Lord. After finishing their prescribed duties, the many servants of Lord Jagannath, known as Bhishayis, return home at night. Thus, it is a custom for all time that a devotee who has no other means of support stands at the Singhadvara gate to receive alms from the servants. A completely dependent Vaishnav thus chants the holy name of the Lord all day and sees Lord Jagannath with full freedom. It is a custom for some Vaishnavas to beg from the charity booths and eat whatever they obtain, whereas others stand at the Singhadvara gate begging alms from the servants. Renunciation is the basic principle sustaining the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees. Seeing this renunciation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is extremely satisfied. Govinda said to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das no longer takes prasadam here. Now he stands at the Singhadvara, where he begs some alms to eat. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he was greatly satisfied. Raghunath Das has done well, he said. He has acted suitably for a person in the renounced order. A person in the renounced order should always chant the holy name of the Lord. He should beg some alms to eat, and he should sustain his life in this way. A Vairagi, a person in the renounced order, should not depend on others. If he does so, he will be unsuccessful and he will be neglected by Krishna. If a renunciant is eager for his tongue to taste different foods, his spiritual life will be lost. And if he is subservient, he will be subservient to the tastes of his tongue. The duty of a person in the renounced order is to chant the Hare Krishna mantra always. He should satisfy his belly with whatever vegetables, leaves, fruits, and roots are available. One who is subservient to the tongue and who thus goes here and there, devoted to the genitals and the belly, cannot attain Krishna. The next day, Raghunath Das inquired at the lotus feet of Swarup Damodar about his duty. I do not know why I have given up household life, he said. What is my duty? Kindly give me instruction. Raghunath Das never even spoke a word before the Lord. Instead, he informed the Lord of his desires through Sarup Damodar Goswami and Govinda. The next day, Sarup Damodar Goswami submitted to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das has this to say at your lotus feet. I do not know my duty or the goal of my life. Therefore, please, personally, give me instructions from your transcendental mouth. Smiling, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das, I have already appointed Sarup Damodar Goswami as your instructor. You may learn from him what your duty is and how to discharge it. I do not know as much as he. Nevertheless, if you want to take instructions from me with faith and love, you may ascertain your duties from the following words. Wow. Do not talk like people in general or hear what they say. You should not eat very palatable food, nor should you dress very nicely. Do not expect honor, but offer all respect to others. Always chant the holy name of the Lord Krishna. Always chant the holy name of Lord Krishna, and within your mind render service to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. Wow.
You can read the purport.
Okay. Go back up. There you go. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his Amrita Pravaha Bhasya that when a man and woman are married, they beget children and are thus entangled in family life. Talk concerning such family life is called Gramya Katha. A person in the renounced order never indulges in either hearing or talking about such subjects. He should not eat palatable dishes, since that is unfit for a person in the renounced order. He should show all respects to others, but should not expect respect for himself. In this way, one should chant the holy name of the Lord and think of how to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. I have briefly given you my instructions. Now, you will get all details about them from Sarup Damodar. One who thinks himself lower than grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor, but is always prepared to give respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. Having heard this, Raghunath Das offered prayers at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord, out of great mercy, embraced him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again entrusted him to Sarup Damodar. Thus, Raghunath Das rendered him very confidential service with Sarup Damodar Goswami.
Yes, that's good. Thank you. So,
Hare Krishna.
subsequent to this, Raghunath Das's father, who was we were talking as Govardhan Majumdar, he discovered that his son was there with Lord Chaitanya in Puri, so he sent some money with a servant for his son, and Raghunath Das then kept that Lakshmi with someone, and he used it. He would invite Lord Chaitanya for lunch. He would use that money for Lord Chaitanya's lunch. So that went on for some time. And then, as his renunciation increased, he no longer invited Lord Chaitanya for lunch. And then he would go to the kitchen of the Jagannath temple. And sometimes when the rice was old, they would throw it out in the back somewhere for the animals. So he would take that and wash off the bad parts, and then take that as his sustenance. So Lord Chaitanya, knowing this, he came and he asked Raghunath Das, so you're not inviting me? You're having such nice prasadam, you're not inviting me? So Lord Chaitanya was very pleased by the extreme renunciation of Raghunath Das Goswami. Of course, we can't imitate this, but he was showing the way of renunciation in the path of devotional service. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, Vairagya Vidya Nidya Bhakti Yoga. This there's a renunciation is an important part. Not that by renunciation you can please Krishna, but renunciation. What's the purpose of renunciation? So that you have more time and energy to engage in Krishna consciousness devotional service. And so Raghunath Das was an epitome of that. Later, after Lord Chaitanya and Swarup Damodar left the planet, then he went to Vrindavan. And he had some notebooks, and also Swarup Damodar. There were, I thought it was only Swarup Damodar's notebooks, but then I read that both he and Swarup Damodar had notebooks that they recorded Lord Chaitanya's later pastimes. So he brought those notebooks to Vrindavan and used to recite Lord Chaitanya's activities every day at the temple of Govinda in Vrindavan. Well, Govinda was still there before he went to Jaipur. And he resided at the banks of the Radha Kunda, and Jiva Goswami arranged for the whole area of Radha Kunda to be purchased and put in the Vaishnava's name there in Radha Kunda, which is a distance from Vrindavan. So there he stayed in his bhajan kutir, and he wrote some books as well. And so Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. Jai. So those I covered most of the persons who is appearance and disappearance days today. Thank you for taking the time to listen and hear about these great Vaishnavas and the Vaishnavis also in as servants of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Questions, comments, corrections?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Shashi Shekhar Shan.
Oh, sorry, my name wasn't changed. That was pretty heavy how he was relating to how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was relating to the material world, calling it this a stool pit.
Yeah, no, it is. Telling Raghunath Das that his father and uncle were worms in the stool. Of course, he said it was. He can say this in a joking manner. He could say that. He said it, but still, as you say, it's pretty strong. And sometimes strong words are required to cut our attachments. That's why, sadhu. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say sadhu is one who cuts by their words. Because our attachment is very strong, and sometimes it's required some strong words like that. So, although he said it was joking, but still they're very strong, as you point out.
Also, that point where when he was giving the instruction towards the end, he said, "Don't talk to them." That he said, "Don't talk or don't listen to what they say," like materialistic people. Yeah,
Srila Prabhupada said that's called Grami Katha. Talk about all kinds of stuff.
So as he was like, as he was describing it, it was like he was talking to like somebody who's like a sannyasi or something, but that should be for like everyone, right? That who's trying to, it's not just those in the renounced order.
Those are general instructions, but particularly for the renounced order. I mean, if someone is a manager at as a politician, then they might have to do some material activities, right, to do their job. But still, to minimize it is a good idea. Not to be involved in it, not to make that their major focus. Certainly, to reduce it is important. And for the sannyasi, particularly those in the renounced order, to avoid it as completely.
Should we not wear nice clothes?
Yeah, good point. Good point. That's a good point. I mean, Srila Prabhupada always looked very good when he address people. So for oneself, no. But if one's presenting Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada said, first dress, then address. You read that in Miracle on Second Avenue. Prabhupada said that to Mukunda Maharaj many times. First dress. So yeah, in order to be presenting Krishna consciousness to others, that means, yes, you have to look presentable. Even when Srila Prabhupada was questioned about, how devotees, I think it was Karandar, who was the temple president in Los Angeles, was encouraging that devotees who go on Sankirtan to distribute books not wear dhotis and saris in order to, because that sometimes people become taken, put off by that. So he said, well, they have to look like very nice ladies and gentlemen, though. They should dress nicely for the public, but not for oneself. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Another point that I was thinking about is how closely he followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. He was asked to be, because he had traveled for so many days, had lost weight and looked tired, he was asked to be fed nicely. But as I was reading that translation, I was thinking, so how do we decide how many days is enough? But it was in the next couple of verses, it said after 5 or 6 days, he went back to begging for alms at the Simadwara. And just the point that, and last week we were talking about how closely we should follow our Acharya's instructions, our Guru's instructions. That was just one point that I was thinking about.
Yes. He is exemplary because he followed exactly Lord Chaitanya's direction there, and mood also. And he understood Lord Chaitanya's intention also. He could have continued to serve lunch to Lord Chaitanya after some time. That went on for a good period of time. He was inviting Lord Chaitanya for lunch, many months. But at a certain point, he said, no more. Lord Chaitanya, seeing his renunciation, further renunciation, was pleased.
Yeah, and I think that is also very important, that it pleased Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
Yeah, so pleasing our Guru should also be something that we always keep in our mind.
Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasada nagati kutopi. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that. By the mercy of your Guru, Krishna is satisfied. But without the pleasure of your Guru, without the pleasure of your Guru, then you're nowhere. No progress. Okay. Thank you all. Go ahead.
I just got a message from Priyarasika Mataji. Their daughter has been blessed with a daughter yesterday, and they named her Nalika, which means lotus. So her full name is Nalika Jairasika Mikalenko. So she was just surprised that her middle name is the initiated names of the grandparents. And Mataji is asking for blessings for her daughter and her granddaughter from all the devotees this morning.
Like Raghunath Das got from the associates of Lord Chaitanya.
Yes.
Well, we don't have that as much. We don't have even closest, but we'll do what we can.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Good wishes there for her advancement in Krishna consciousness. Okay, thank you. Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai.
Jai.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ki jai.
Jai.
Pundarik Vidyanidhi ki jai.
Jai.
Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi ki jai.
Jai.
Goddess Saraswati ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vishnugada Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.